Hey learner, you ready for another deep dive? Because today we are going to crack the code on financial success.
That sounds good to me.
All right, so we are breaking down this YouTube video by this financial advisor in Singapore, and let me tell you, this guy's living the dream. Like, we are talking luxury cars, waterfront property, that kind of success.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
But here's the thing, he is totally upfront about how he makes his money.
Really? Because that's not something you see every day.
Right, like, it's one thing to talk about financial advice, but he's putting it all out there.
So what makes this guy tick? What's his secret sauce?
Well, he actually talks about how his own niece asked him about his income, and it totally caught him off guard.
And this is someone who talks about money for a living, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'd think he'd be used to it, but what really got me was his whole perspective on income.
Okay, what's his take?
He says it's not fixed, it's fluid.
Interesting. So he's not talking about like a salary or a fixed paycheck.
Nope, he's all about how you have the power to actually influence how much you earn.
That's a pretty powerful idea, right? Like it challenges that whole get a stable job with a steady income mentality.
Exactly. And he walks the walk too. He even casually mentions working on Sundays.
Wow. Dedication right there.
No kidding. And when you think about it, this guy has been putting out YouTube videos consistently for 5 years straight. So he's definitely onto something.
So the question is, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to do what others won't to reach your goals?
Because it seems like success doesn't always happen during a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Sometimes you got to put in the extra hours. Think outside the box,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. It's like this advisor saying, you want to reach those financial goals, you got to be willing to hustle.
And it's not just about the hustle. It's about having a strategy and a plan.
Which he has. He calls it Teach Attract Plan. And it all ties back to why he's so open about his income.
Okay, let's break it down.
So let's dive into this Teach Attract brand thing. Because it's easy to look at someone successful and be like,
Oh,
they got lucky.
right. But this guy is breaking it down like it's a science.
Yeah, exactly. So first up, teach. He's not just saying, hey, look at me, I'm rich. He's showing people how he did it.
Which makes you wonder, why isn't everyone doing this?
Right. It's like he said about the finance world. It's all hush-hush when it comes to money.
And I'm going to blow that out of the water.
Exactly. He even gets into specifics like how he found his niche by focusing on a certain type of client.
It's like he's giving away the playbook for free.
Okay, so then there's Attract. And this part is interesting. He talks about wanting to manage $1 billion in assets.
$1 billion with a B.
Yeah, this guy thinks big. But by putting that out there, he's basically saying, hey, I'm only working with people who are on that same level.
It's like a magnet for ambition. You attract what you project, right?
Totally. And then it all ties into brand. I mean, this whole being transparent thing, that's his brand right there.
Absolutely. It's like he's saying, I'm the opposite of those shady financial guys. You can trust me.
And he even calls out those industry awards. Like, he doesn't even bother with them.
Because he's like, who are those for anyway? The clients or the advisors?
It's like he's saying, I'd rather let my results speak for themselves.
Which, when you're managing that kind of money.
Yeah, pretty convincing.
And you know what else I notice about his whole approach?
What's that?
He's all about the long game. There's no get-rich-quick schemes here. It's all about building something sustainable.
And that's really where the rubber meets the road, right? Because we've talked about mindset and strategy, but what about actually making it happen?
And he does not shy away from the nitty-gritty. He gives some really practical advice based on his own experience.
Like, what kind of stuff are we talking?
Well, for starters, he stresses building a solid reputation. And I'm not talking about overnight success here. We're talking years of consistent effort and delivering value.
And let's be real, 5 years of pumping out YouTube content.
Yeah.
That takes serious dedication.
Right. Like he's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper than that. He's all about going above and beyond for his clients, even if it means sacrificing some short-term profits.
So it's about playing the long game, building those relationships.
Exactly. He even uses this analogy. He says, think of it like planting seeds. You might not see the fruit right away, but with consistent care, you cultivate a thriving garden of client loyalty.
I like that. That's a good one. And it actually reminds me of another point he made about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh, yeah. The average of 5 concept, right?
Exactly. You become like the people you hang out with the most. So if you're surrounded by people who are ambitious and driven,
chances are you're going to up your game too.
So learner, take a look around. Who are you spending your time with? Are they pushing you to be your best self?
Because it sounds like this financial advisor wouldn't be caught dead hanging out with someone who's content with mediocrity.
I'm just imagining him at a cocktail party, like scoping out the room for the most driven person there.
And you know what else struck me about his whole approach? He is all about putting the client first.
How so?
Like, no hard selling,
Right.
no pushing products. It's all about really understanding their needs and building those long-term relationships.
Which, of course, circles back to building that killer reputation. It all connects.
It does. And you know what else connects? His final point. Proficiency plus passion plus profitability.
Okay, break that down for me.
He's saying that's where the magic happens.
Mhm.
When you can find that sweet spot where your skills and your passions align with your income.
So it's not just about the money. It's about finding a career that truly lights you up.
Right, because you could be making bank, but if you're miserable doing it, are you really successful?
Good point. So it's about designing a life that you're excited to wake up to every day. And learner, that's something worth striving for. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, mindset strategies, but how does this advisor actually put it all into practice?
Well, he actually gets into the nitty-gritty and shares some seriously practical advice based on his own journey.
Okay, so give me the inside scoop. What are some of these golden nuggets?
Well, for starters, he really hammers home the importance of building a long-term reputation. Like, this isn't about chasing quick wins. It's about showing up consistently delivering value over time.
Makes sense. And he's not just blowing smoke, because 5 years of YouTube videos, that takes dedication.
Exactly. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. But it goes even deeper than that. He's a firm believer in going above and beyond for clients, even if it means taking a hit to his profits in the short term.
Wow, so he's really putting his money where his mouth is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He even uses this analogy. He says, think of it like planting seeds. You might not see the fruit immediately, but with consistent care, you cultivate this thriving garden of client loyalty.
I love that analogy. It really paints a picture. And it actually reminds me of another point he made about the importance of your network, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Well, yeah, he talked about that average of 5 concept, right?
Mhm.
The idea that you become like the people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So if you're constantly hanging out with people who are driven and ambitious,
That's bound to rub off on you.
it's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So learn to think about your own circle. Who are those 5 people? Are they pushing you to grow? Are they supporting your goals?
Because let's just say I doubt this financial advisor would be caught dead hanging out with someone who's content with mediocrity.
Totally. And you know what else really struck me about this guy? His whole philosophy is centered around putting the client first.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, he's not about hard selling or pushing products. It's all about genuinely understanding his client's needs and building those long-term relationships.
Which, of course, ties back into building that stellar reputation. Everything comes a full
It
circle.
really does. And speaking of connecting the dots, this leads us to his final point. Proficiency plus passion plus profitability.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break that down for me.
So he's basically saying that the sweet spot for career satisfaction, the holy grail, if you will, is that intersection where your skills and your passions align with your income.
So it's not just about the money. It's about finding something that truly lights you up.
Exactly.
Because you could be making bank, but if you're miserable doing it, are you really successful?
Such a good point. So it's about designing a life that you're excited to wake up to every day. And learning, that's something we should all be striving for.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the key takeaway here is that financial success, it's not just about the numbers. It's about the mindset, the strategies, and the willingness to put in the work to create a career and a life that truly fulfills you.
Could have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So until next time, learner, keep exploring, keep learning.